have any really major sponsorships yet, but maybe after they see this, they might want to sponsor me. You may want to go really hard when getting the Factor meals. You may want to get like 20. I'm going to eat 2 a day for me and my boyfriend. You may get burnt out of the meals pretty quickly. We did get burnt out of the meals. They started tasting boring. With Factor 75, you don't worry about anything. It's essentially like a glorified TV dinner. Welcome to my channel, Desi Ventures. I am your host, Desi, and today I have an awesome video for you guys. I have been utilizing Factor75, their meal delivery service, for about 2 months now, and I love it. It has saved me so much time. This video is actually not sponsored by Factor. I don't have any really major sponsorships yet, but maybe after they see this, they might want to sponsor me. This meal delivery service has saved me so much time. The time that it's given me back has reduced my anxiety about making dinner, ensuring that we have food, going to the grocery stores on the weekend. And so I want to dedicate a video to it if you are looking into just a meal delivery service or meal prep, what you can possibly expect, especially if you use Factor 75. I'm a little biased because that's the one that I chose to go with. But mind you, I've done the HelloFresh, and I'll try and use it as a comparison point if you are comparing the two of why I prefer Factor 75, but HelloFresh was really, really great. I just felt like the portions weren't as big as I had wanted them to be, and it still required us to take time to cook the meal in the kitchen together. With Factor 75, you don't worry about anything. It's essentially like a glorified TV dinner. I know that's really bad to say, but that's just what it reminds me of when I was a kid, was like having a TV dinner. You put it in the microwave and it's ready. In this video, we will be going over the quality and the taste, the price, of course, because that's very important, the delivery and the interface of how you get your meals and how you can skip weeks and pick your specific meals that you'd like. And then we'll end off with my experience, some pros and cons, just so you guys can know the truth from my perspective. All right, so let's get into the quality and the taste. They taste good. The meals taste good. You know when you can tell when someone uses like specific types of seasonings? Like, for example, I know the way my mom's cooking tastes. You know the way Factor 75 cooks their meals. They just have a specific taste to them. They use seasonings that are very, very consistent week to week. I'll put it that way. Some taste really good, some are hit and miss. It really is just gonna depend on what you like to eat. So if you don't like eating pasta, you're probably not gonna like their pasta meals. If you don't like feta and they have a feta dish, you're probably not gonna like it. I don't particularly favor Indian dishes, and so I do buy them because my boyfriend loves them. They don't taste bad to me, they just aren't on par with what I think would taste really, really good. So it's just gonna be hit or miss for the first couple of weeks when you're using their meal delivery service and picking out the types of meals that you want. Now, one thing I do want to know is the nutrition. So a lot of these are under 700 calorie meals, which I think is really great if you are looking into the service just to get a little bit healthier, get some healthy meals in there, not have to worry about getting the ingredients. I have found that the cholesterol and the sodium is something that I watch out for on the meals, and I have to balance it when it comes to me eating more than one of these meals a day. I have noticed that the sodium can be high and that the cholesterol can also be high. So that is just something that I want to know in case you are watching those two nutrition factors. They're something that we watch in this household. So I just want to put it out there that they can be higher depending on the meal. You can look at the nutrition prior to getting the meal, but just note that you may want to balance the meal out with the rest of the meals that you have in the day. That was me saying meals quite a lot, but I hope you understand what I'm saying. You need to balance these out. Now, like I had mentioned, their taste can be very consistent. Like, you know, it's a Factor meal, and sometimes that can get a little boring. And what I mean by that is you may want to go really hard when getting the Factor meals. You may want to get like 20. I'm going to eat 2 a day for me and my boyfriend. You may get burnt out of the meals pretty quickly. We did get burnt out of the meals. They started tasting boring. We noticed that we would get certain digestion issues just from the amount of like cheese and dairy that were in some of the meals, because you don't always have dairy-free meal options that you'll like and want to pick from. So they may have only 5 dairy-free options. That's not going to be enough to cover the week, and it's not going to be enough variety for you. So you may start getting some that have some dairy in it, and you are going to be affected by that. So just know you can choose your meals, but you may be limited in the variety. And don't go too hard with ordering 20 meals per week for you and your loved one, or every meal is a Factor meal, because you will get burnt out of them. With that said, we went from 20 meals down to 12 meals a week because we were like, this is way too many meals. We were having so many, we were getting burnt out of it. And what we ended up doing was freezing some of them. Now, they do not suggest freezing. They even write it on there, do not suggest freezing, but you can freeze them. And that's like another pro. You can freeze them, and I've unfrozen them. I just leave them in the refrigerator overnight, and they taste the exact same. Another thing to note, just like while we're on quality and taste, the meals only last about a week. So if you don't eat them all, which has happened to us where we ordered way too many, I would suggest freezing them, or else they're going to go to waste, because your next delivery is going to come and you're going to have 20 more meals at your doorstep, and you're going to need to figure out what to do with them. So freezing is an option, although they don't necessarily suggest it. I went ahead and did it, and they worked out well for me as far as eating them within the next week, but to each their own. Now let's get into price, because this was another motivating factor for me to go ahead and choose Factor75. I've done HelloFresh, wasn't a huge fan just based off the portion size, and then there was still a time element to it. I had to take the time out to make the meal. And when it comes to price, I feel like they were relatively the same when it came to Factor75 and HelloFresh. With Factor75, the price kind of depends on how many meals you get. So like the more meals you'll get, the less it is per meal. So right now we're ordering 12 meals a week, and we'll, add on a few, and that's around $8 to $9. And then if you add on a gourmet plus meal, so that's like your steaks and like your shrimp and salmon meals, it can get a little bit pricier, where it's like $15 per meal. Now, when I was ordering 20 meals per week, it was right around $220 to $250, and that was pretty on par with our grocery bill. And we were wasting a lot of our food because we would start door dashing during the week, and then we'd have to throw a lot of that like expensive chicken and the meats out because they went bad. With Factor75, the meals are already prepared. It's a lot easier to stay motivated to just take that to lunch than to make something. And then we don't have to worry about throwing anything out because we can just freeze the meals. You also get 2 free health shot add-ons each week. They're okay. I'll say that. I haven't really been drinking them. My boyfriend has been drinking them. He says they're okay. So I've had a few. They're all right. And they're free, so you can just add them on to your weekly meal purchase. Now, when it comes to delivery, I do get the Monday delivery. It delivers about midday, so if you're working from home, mine is delivered right around lunchtime, so it's perfect for me. The one thing I have noticed is that if I get a larger amount of meals, so let's say I order 20 meals for the week, they will be delivered in 2 different packages, obviously because it's so many meals. But they'll deliver only 1 package, and then they'll come back like an hour later and deliver the second one. It is very strange. It's the same delivery person. I've actually stood outside saying, I'm pretty sure you have another package for me. And they'll say, nope. And then I'll see them come back around. They'll go, yeah, I don't know what's going on. I don't know why that happens. It only happened to me on their delivery route, so it was very strange. Regardless, I would always get my second package eventually, and then when I dropped down to 12 meals, those all come in 1 box, so it wasn't even a worry anymore. But that's just something to look out for. When your meals are being delivered, make sure you count all of them and make sure that you have all of your packages. When it comes to the application, Factor75 actually has its own app, and I definitely suggest downloading it, because every Wednesday, I believe you have to solidify what meals you want for the next week. And it's a lot easier to look at it on the app. They have a pretty good interface. You can scroll through, unchoose what is already defaulted, and then choose what you want and add on any gourmet plus meals, switch out anything for dairy or vegan meals. And the best part, you can skip weeks. We've been using this feature recently because we went so hard at the beginning with Factor75 that we had way too many meals on deck. We were just burnt out. So we ended up skipping a week or 2. We will definitely continue to use this feature in the future. featured in the future. It just really depends on your week. Let's say you go out for dinner. Let's say you have, friends over. You're not going to want to feed them a Factor 75 meal. You're probably going to want to eat something else. So it's just nice to have that availability, but remember that you have to do it by Wednesday or else you're going to get another delivery of meals. Now let's go over my experience. Like I had mentioned, the delivery was a little bit funky, but it wasn't anything that was a deal breaker for me. It was just a little strange to only see one package when you know you have two coming. Now I can't get over enough how much time Factor 75 saves me, and that is like the number one motivating factor for me choosing to move forward with Factor 75 as a meal delivery service and using it week to week, because it reduces my time on the weekend having to go grocery shopping. It reduces my time spent having to meal prep. It reduces the time spent in the evenings having to prepare dinner. For me, paying for the convenience is worth it right now in my life, because I am doing so much on the side that I need the convenience of just having the meal ready. And it's half decent, so you can't go wrong there. It also keeps within my budget because I'm not going to the grocery store and I'm just choosing Factor. I'm actually spending significantly less at the grocery store and spending about the same week to week, and I'm not wasting any of the food. So it's working out pretty well for me. Like I had mentioned, we did get a little burnt out of the meals. We've been able to adjust how many meals that we think we need, and that's around 12. That gives us, a few options for dinner and lunch, and then if we want to eat out during the week, it gives us that flexibility as well. We are watching the salt and the cholesterol on each of these meals just because we have noticed that they can be a little high, and those are the two nutrition factors that we're looking at the most. Now we do look at the calories, of course, but again, their calorie range is like pretty on par for what a meal should be. Now, I hope you enjoyed this video, and if you were looking into Factor 75 or any other meal delivery service, let me know in the comments which one you're looking into. If you have any questions on Factor 75 or which one you decided to go with and why. Now, if you're looking into Factor 75, I'm going to leave my link down below. That's one way that you can help support this channel. You can also like and subscribe and be a part of the Desi Ventures family. Once again, my name is Desi, and I'll catch you guys in my next video.